Hello friends and welcome back. Today I wanted to talk to you guys about Unreal Engine that is brought to you by Epic Games. And if you're not familiar with the software, this stuff is super powerful. For all my gamers out there, you guys have probably come across it. They are the creators of Fortnite and basically allow you to create whatever you can come up with. Most recently in the film production space, you can use it for virtual production. The closest thing that is probably in parallel is the show The Mandalorian, where if you watch the behind the scenes, they allude to doing virtual production and manipulating some of the 3D space on the big LED screens that they had, and be able to create these worlds and move some of the backgrounds, some of those elements in real time, which is something that for the longest time couldn't be done and couldn't be done well. Now comes this software, Unreal Engine, which is a complete powerhouse. I was blown away, and this project that I just completed, it supported everything that I thought Unreal Engine would be capable of. And I love that for somebody that was completely new to the software, the user interface was friendly and very comparable to other 3D softwares that I had come across. Not to mention programs like Adobe Premiere and After Effects, where you have your sequence timelines and your project windows and the elements that you start to compile. I've been wanting to delve into Unreal Engine for probably a year and a half now, but I just never found my way to it. There were other projects that I wanted to get off the ground and maybe learn a little bit more, working a little bit more closely with graphic design stuff. And then with all this nascent technology that was coming out very quickly, I might add, with artificial intelligence and how that stuff was getting baked in to content creation, I kind of found myself trying that kind of stuff out before I made my way to Unreal Engine. But here we are, and I completed my first project. Ended up being a little rock formation, like an island, very small island in the middle of the ocean. Description below the tutorial that I watched to help all of this come alive. What is my rating? Overall, absolutely fantastic. Now, I will say that this software, compared to, let's say, Maya, is a little bit easier to work with. It's probably as complex, or if not more, with regards to capabilities and what's baked into the program. So I was just learning how to work with it. But man, this video that I watched for the tutorial to get me from what I was hoping to be from point A to point Z was about an hour and 38 minutes. And in between all of those letters from A to Z, I had to watch other tutorials to kind of bridge the gap and cover stuff that I had undoubtedly missed or glazed over, because this particular teacher was going a little bit faster than what I was used to. So I found myself going, you guys know, sometimes you have to go back and then back again to pick up on stuff that you may have missed, and to really make sure that you're covering all your bases. If you have a development background, you'll find that this software is gonna be something a little bit more comfortable for you. Why do I say that? Well, on the export of some of this content, I was using Unreal Engine 5.2. I believe the version was 5.2.1. They've since released a 5.3. And the export of the version that I had, there wasn't any native export to MP4 files. And MP4 files is basically just a file extension of how your video will be exported and rendered from the software. So those will be the files that you bring over to a secondary software to color correct. Maybe you guys are using DaVinci Resolve now, or if you're still using Premiere or even CapCut, you'll use that particular file. It's pretty compressed and be able to get it to the final destination. But I was blown away by that. I was being told by other tutorials that you needed to have, to get a full render of a video file, you needed to have FFmpeg encoder. And the challenge for me was the video that I was watching, actually 2 different videos. The creators were on PC. So right then and there, I was going to be at a slight disadvantage because, as you know, they don't translate the same. The files are not the same, and some of the outputs will be different. And so that is something that I struggled with finishing this project out. And what I ended up doing is just exporting as a JPEG. And what ends up happening, if you have a 10-second clip of video, you'll see it in your video sequence, but you'll export and you'll notice that there's JPEGs, basically one image for each frame multiple times. So if you had a 24 FPS, the frame rate for your particular video, and you wanted it to run 10 seconds long, well, you can do the math there, and you end up with roughly 240 frames. So that was a challenge that I had to manipulate that footage once I got over to Premiere and basically change the speed duration to 1 frame for every file that was there, because natively it was coming out where each clip was about 10 seconds long, and you'll notice choppiness. If it's not calibrated properly, you will notice that there was kind of like hiccups within each piece of the video that went on, and that was super frustrating. So hopefully with the newer version, there are, some native components built in, because I for one believe that you need to have video capabilities on a software as robust as this one. Now, let's go back just a little bit. As I was getting into the software, this was very interesting component to the software stuff. I talked to you guys about file storage. So getting an SSD that was going to support a lot of your video footage and a place to house it long term was going to be of the utmost importance. Now for Unreal, times 10. The video download itself was roughly 57 gigabytes. That was insane to me. Comparatively, or in contrast, if you go into, let's say, an Adobe Premiere and After Effects, you're talking about maybe 3 to 5 gigabytes for the software and the complete package. From here, 57 gigabytes to get it going, and then as you were building your assets out, your compositions, there is another repository where you would download more assets. And those, let's say these rock formations, that package that held those coastline elements, that was about 17 to 18 gigabytes. And everything else that you had to add on. So you're looking at roughly, for a small project like this, no more than 10 seconds for an ocean-based island with the most limited detail. You're looking at roughly 75 to 100 gigabytes worth of storage needs for this software to operate effectively. Now, also, I'm running on an iMac that has 40 gigabytes. 40 gigabytes, I will say, is probably not enough to run Unreal Engine optimally. The reason I say that is I had everything else closed, no other software, but I was trying to watch the YouTube videos as I was getting into the rendering portion of doing these videos. So once I was ready to export, there were the little pathways and things that I had to copy and little development code that I had to bake in to be able to get the export to work properly. And I noticed that YouTube and Google would freeze up. So there you have it. I mean, if there was ever going to be a memory hog, this was one of them. The computer was running super, super hot. I could hear it, going. It said the temperature was roughly like 133 degrees. And just with this software alone, not using anything else or not running any other video components, the program was barely getting things done. And once you got to the export part, this 10-second video ended up taking about 3 hours to render. So that just goes to show you the complexities and how much info is being generated to each and every one of your projects. So that was very eye-opening to me. I didn't expect this, especially for what I was using. A lot of people were asking, is this open source? Well, it is to a degree. Basically, anything you could dream up, you could probably get it done open source. And I understand that there's licensing components once you design something that is starting to become commercial and taking in a certain amount of money. So that is tailored to people that are in that commercial space, that are doing this to generate revenue, and then they help you along with that. But I believe that they're going to keep most of all of this free, so people can learn it, rate it, and continue to help make it better. So overall, I thought Unreal Engine was very interesting, very complex, and super rewarding. This was probably the most amazing software that I've ever worked with. The sheer detail. You'll notice, like rocks that hit the water, that are getting hit with the ocean water. They'll take up a sheen all over the rock as if the water was actually hitting it and moistening the rock. And you'll find that you can even go basically wherever you want to go in the space, you can help design it. If I wanted to go underwater, I could help, create the land underwater. And it's very, very intuitive, this software, and probably the most complex that I've ever seen. And so for those of you that are out and doing stuff with it, it is mind-blowing. You can make a video that looks and feels just probably 2 shades away from real life, if not completely real life. Anywhere in the world, anything you can dream up and make it work with the environment that you create. The capabilities of the lighting and have it work with the textures and materials of each of the projects was fascinating. Shadow, the ability to reflect light, unbelievable. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I can only imagine it's only going to grow leaps and bounds from here. So the biggest takeaway from me was that, wow, I come from close to, analog production, where it took a company move. It took a lot of time and a lot of effort to be able to go to a particular location and shoot the projects that you wanted to make. Now, let's think about that. I mean, how difficult would it be, like, to go out into the middle of the ocean, taking a 10-hour trip with a caravan of creatives, and the inherent costs to be able to do something like that, where now you can potentially create this world all from your desk, and you would be none the wiser. I mean, the capabilities are so limitless that you wouldn't know if this was real or make-believe. And it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. So Epic Games and Unreal Engine, amazing job to all the technicians and the teachers and the people that are constantly giving feedback and implementing new changes. Keep going, keep pushing the envelope. As I mentioned, I hope in the newer version there will be a native video export that I don't have to go to, let's say, Homebrew and open my developer terminal and plug in all of this code, because that's just, to me, that's an impediment that gets in the way of the creative process. All of that stuff should be baked in and very easy, whether you're using PC or maybe even Linux. Whatever operating system you're working on, you should be able to get the same desired effect. And tutorials and teaching should be able to translate seamlessly with maybe 1 or 2 changes depending on the operating system. That's kind of my 2 cents with regards to it all. But I hope you like the project. Really build out your computer. There's probably a reason that all of this is PC based, because those are going to be the workhorses for this video content creation. Let's see where it goes from here. Thank you guys all for watching once again, and we will catch up on the next one.